Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Hood Power Hour. My name is Miracle Jones. I'm your host today. This week marks a solemn anniversary. It's the 40th anniversary of the Move bombing. And for us, it's always important for us to go behind the headlines, meet the people who are impacted, tell their stories, and also give you things you can do to get involved and to talk about what this anniversary means, give us clarifying information and some action items that we can take now. We want to welcome the son of Move, Mike Africa Jr. Welcome, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Miracle. Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be on the One Hood, this One Hood Power Hour. I know we've been trying to get this done for a while, and finally here. So I'm really excited to be here.
And we're really thankful that you are here. Talk us a little bit about like how you were feeling. Yesterday was the 40th anniversary, and you had people coming into Philly and just talking and grieving together. Like, how are you feeling in this moment?
Well, I woke up yesterday, 5 o'clock, like I always do, and a ton of bricks is what it felt like landed on me. Waking up and realizing that it's the 40th anniversary of the bombing and the murder of my family. And so there was that heaviness. But once I began to get into the day, by 7 a.m., I did a show with Mike Jarrett. And I think the show is called the Good Day. Good Day. It's a Philadelphia show. And, I did it with Jamie Gauthier, the council member who put in to make a resolution to make May 13th a official day of remembrance for my family. And we went from there to going to the Community College of Philadelphia and doing an amazing exhibit. And that exhibit will be up until till Saturday. The community just opened their arms and just embraced me and my family and just showed so much love. And so while the day started heavy, I walked away floating, light as a feather, and it's carrying over to today. And I still feel incredible. And I'm really excited about next year because yesterday I announced the inaugural Move Day 5K that we're going to be doing in honor of my family members that were killed in the bombing.
And for people who are not aware, your family, the Africa family, 40 years ago, the city of Philadelphia literally dropped bombs on your family. It's one of the first times that people in the United States were bombed. Of course, that's happened, before. Think about what happened in Tulsa. And so you have lived this your whole entire life. You have lived with the grief, the pain, and trauma, but a lot of people do not know that every few years, something else happens to your family and you learn something else. So while you were planning this 40th anniversary, just a little over a year and a half ago, you learned that the local university had one of your family members, remains. How has this process, this 40 years, been for you?
I think the hardest part about learning all these different things about what's happened to my family is the lack of accountability for the people that committed these crimes against them. I know that if I flew a helicopter over somebody's house, specifically a police officer, and dropped a bomb on them and killed them and their family, 11 family members and five of their children, I would not be on trial. I would be dead in a grave. It wouldn't even get to the point where you see me in handcuffs walking through and getting arraigned and like Rodney Hinton, sticking my chin up in the air to let you know you're not going to break me. That wouldn't get to that point. If I flew a helicopter over a police officer's house and dropped a bomb and killed them and their family, they would kill me. And when they commit these types of crimes, there's no accountability. They bring in these lawyers. They got these judges that are already set up to give them this immunity. and there's no jail time, there's no handcuffs, there's no ride in the back of a police paddy wagon with a broken back like they did Freddie Gray. There's no mysterious death of them, or a hanging or potential suicide like with Sandra Bland. There's no stopping within 14 seconds of your car when you're in pursuit and shooting down like they did Tamir Rice. And so I think the issue of accountability is the big problem. The equality that in America doesn't exist, and it's so really something that people should be outraged and livid about. We should be outraged and expressing our outrage to the government for their lack of accountability when it comes to police officers killing us.
And you talk a little bit about all like this history of police violence within the Black community. You lost your family members, but you also lost out on the second way is through incarceration, which also impacts our communities because both of your parents were incarcerated for the majority of your life. So growing up, what was that like for you? Watching people move on without accountability for the injustices that your family was going through.
Watching what my family went through, what I went through, what we went through, without the accountability that should have been there, it made me more determined to fight against injustice. We should not have situations like Trayvon Martin is killed by these crazy people and no accountability for his death. If he had killed this person, he would be in jail for sure. If George Floyd kneeled on the neck of Derek Chauvin, George Floyd would have been in prison. And so we have to remember that the people are still in these positions. Mumia Abu-Jamal has been in prison since 1981. And Mumia asked the question, if he had died and the cop that did die had survived, would the cop be in jail? And the answer is no, absolutely not. These police get away with murder, and that's not right. And we need to do something about it.
And you talk about doing something. You have been mobilizing, for over 40 years. You've always been trying to bring community together to talk about a family story, talking about being better, talking about support. Why, when it seemed like there was no hope, why it seemed there was all, the police, the government moving against you and your family, what motivated you to keep fighting and to make sure that people understood what happened and that it cannot happen again?
Well, in the words of my father, as long as they continue to call me a murderer, I'm going to continue to say I am not a murderer. As long as they continue to say that I'm wrong, I'm going to continue to say that I'm right. And that's the sentiment. As long as my parents are in prison, I'm going to fight to get them free. And that's what it is all about. I've never lost hope or allowed the amount of time to dampen my approach or interfere with my resolve to free them. The more time passed on, the more I felt urged to continue to fight and try to get other people to help get involved too. Time doesn't mean quit. Just because something is hard doesn't mean that you should not do it. If it's hard but it's right, you do it anyway. Like exercise, it's hard to do push-ups, it's hard to walk, it's hard to run, it's hard to put in that work and get up every day and watch the diet that you have, watch what foods you eat. It's hard. But just because it's hard doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, because it's necessary, it's important. And so when it comes to trying to get my people out of prison, the time that dragged on was never a determination to give up. That was an accelerant. That was an accelerant for me.
And I remember the Facebook post you posted when both of your parents had come home, and you had talked about like this was like the first time you got to like hug your mom and dad like at the same time. And just like that joy, that radical love, that radical joy of being in family. Can you describe a little bit of like that moment and what it has been like for you now? Like they're both home.
Yeah, it was like it was like something I knew I needed, but I didn't know how bad I needed it. You know, it's like breathing fresh air, like leaving the city and going to the country and breathing fresh air. And when you come back to the city, you realize how bad the city air smells. I felt like somebody had pulled a plastic bag from over my face because I was suffocating. I felt like my parents, who I had never seen together except on one picture that I kept in my wallet for 40 years, the prom picture from when my dad took my mother to her senior prom. That's the only time that I ever seen them together, on this picture that has these striations and grains because it's so old in my wallet up against other things. And to see them together felt like, I don't know, euphoric. It felt like something that, even though I never gave up hope, I do know that my parents are not going to live forever. And so while on the one hand, I never gave up hope, though on the other hand, it was like a relief. It was a relief that they came home on their own 2 feet and not in a pine box. And the fact that they stayed together throughout those 40 years and wrote to each other and stayed familiar with each other. And they didn't just hug each other when they saw each other. Their bodies collided and they stuck together. And it was just so, I felt proud that I could do that for my dad, because I know how much he loves my mom. My mom is a different kind of person than my dad. My dad is a protector. He's a provider. And when he can't do those things for his family, he's like a caged lion that can't find something to kill. My mom is a little different. My mom will, while everybody is crying about the jail time that they got, my mom is on her way to the room that has all of this sewing material. She's trying to find curtains, so some material she can make curtains in a carpet so she can put it on her floor in her cell. You know, so she will survive anywhere. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, Mike, how do you keep up with how do you have this positive spirit all the time? And I said, I don't know. I said, if somebody send me to the jungle of Africa, I'm coming home with a lion coat. You know, I'm coming home with a bearskin rug. I'm getting out of there alive. And I think I get that from my mother. She's always so positive about everything. There's never a negativity that keeps her down. It might make her sad, it might hurt her, but it will never keep her down. Her spirit is too powerful. And so to see them come home and to see my dad finally get a chance to take care of his wife himself and not have to rely on other people to do it, to see him come home and be able to take care of his kids and give them what they need, and take care of his grandkids and take them to their games and to their musical events or whatever, it just made me feel proud that I was able to bring that to him.
And I do want to just go back a little bit to when you were like younger and just talk a little bit about the immediate aftershocks of the bombing, right? Because you're a young child. How was it explained to you what happened?
It never was. I saw what happened when it happened. I was watching the news as the rest of Philadelphia was watching the news. And I began to learn more details years later. See, the news at the time, it was live. And my family was in the room watching it on the news. And when I walked into the room, I saw it. Then I went outside and I saw the smoke. I saw the smoke billowing up into the air like clouds. I didn't know who died. I didn't know that 11 people were dead. I didn't know that 5 of those people were the other unconventional orphans like myself. What I knew is that it was bad. My grandmother told me to never watch the television when the news came on. She protected me from the details, from the information. And in 1992, when Ramona Africa, who is the lone adult survivor of the bombing, when she came home from prison, I went with her and I traveled around the world as she, with her, as she did lectures and speaking engagements at universities, community centers. And as she would tell the story to the people in those audiences, I would be listening and I would learn the story as they learned it. So no one ever sat me down and gave me the information. I learned as other people learned. And then the other thing that I did was I did a lot of research myself. I read a lot of newspapers. I read a lot of articles that people wrote about what happened, eyewitness accounts. My grandmother was an eyewitness. My great aunt was an eyewitness. They were there on the scene. They were among the people that the police picked up and threw over barricades as they tried to intervene to stop the 10,000 rounds of ammunition that was shot at my family by the police. So I learned just over the years of getting information from multiple sources.
And you have been taking that information and sharing it out. Can you just talk a little bit about some of the projects that you are doing so that people understand what exactly happened to your family and what the city of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania owes your family?
So the city of Philadelphia. So okay, let's go back a little bit. The MOVE organization is an organization that was founded by my great uncle, John Africa. John Africa started the organization with a simple mission to protect life, people, animals, and the environment. And having that mission, you run across a whole lot of people who don't care about your belief and they're not interested in fighting with you. Most of those people are the Philadelphia Police Department. Those are the same police departments that attacked the Black Panthers for wanting equal rights. They're the same police officers that attacked Martin Luther King and people in the civil rights movement when they came to Philadelphia. They attacked the Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam when they were in Philadelphia. This police department in Philadelphia was led by none other than the most racist, most bigoted, most separatist mayor by the name of Frank Rizzo. And he attacked MOVE with so much violence and so much anger and disrespect and disregard that MOVE members got to the point where they felt like they needed to fight back. So their idea was, if you come at us with sticks, we'll come at you with sticks. If you come at us with fists, we will fight you with fists. If you come at us with guns, we will shoot back in defense of our lives. So that led to a confrontation on August 8th, 1978. That confrontation ended with 4 minutes of automatic gunfire shot at my family and 3 fire hoses from the fire department that were trained on our house pumped 250,000 gallons of water, high pressure water, into my family's basement while women and children, pregnant women, were in this basement. And MOVE members survived that attack, but a police officer did not. He was shot and killed. Some people say it was friendly fire. Some people said it was MOVE. Whoever it was, MOVE got the blame. And my parents were sentenced to 9, my parents and other members of the organization. It was a total of 9 people. We called them the MOVE 9. The judge gave them 100 years each, 900 years in prison. So the MOVE members that were still on the street began protesting against the unjust sentence of the MOVE 9. The judge himself who sentenced the MOVE 9 said he didn't even know if they killed the cop or not, and he didn't care. So MOVE members were outraged. They began protesting. The city's response to their protest was to drop a bomb on them. May 13th, 1985, the city of Philadelphia grabbed a helicopter from the state police. They grabbed 10,000 rounds of ammunition. They got explosives from the United States military, and they brought it all with 500 police officers. They flew a helicopter over the house. They shot 10,000 rounds of ammunition at the people in the house. The bomb that they dropped on Move's roof ignited a fire. The fire burned to over 2,000 degrees, the same temperature that melts steel. When the fire erupted, the police commissioner told the fire commissioner to let the fire burn. The fire commissioner said, okay, yeah, let's do that. When Move members tried to escape the burning house, they were shot by police and their bodies were picked up and thrown back into the burning house. When the smoke cleared 2 days later, ashes still began to fall from the sky, and 11 Move members, including 5 children, were dead.
And so when we talk about accountability and responsibility, this was an act of aggression, an act of violence. Someone has accused the Philadelphia Police Department of committing an act of terrorism against your family. When we talk about accountability, and I always just ask these questions because sometimes people don't know, who has ever apologized and taken responsibility uh, of what happened to you and your family?
The only person, there's a few people that apologized. Mayor Wilson Goode, who was the mayor at the time, the district attorney, and the city council of Philadelphia. 35 years after the bombing, decades after people's grief, they began to start talking about apologies. And you know what I have to say about their apology? They can take that apology and shove it. Nobody cares about an apology. What is the point in apologizing for something like that? You can't undo what you did. You took people's lives, and all you have to offer is an apology. Move members, we still have some of our family members are in prison. If you really want to apologize, free them. Mumia Abu Jamal has been our brother, our Move brother, since 1970 something, and he's still in prison. If an apology is genuine, free Mumia. The Move 9, who were released from prison starting in 2018, are on parole until 2078. If the apology is genuine, release the Move 9 from their parole stipulation. We have a house that we're trying to pay for, the house that was bombed in 1985. We did not have a payment on it in 1985. The government took our house from us through eminent domain after they bombed it, burned it to the ground, and killed our family in it after burying them in unmarked graves. We still have a mortgage on this property because we're trying to reclaim it, and they have yet to do anything to support that. So I say they can take their apology and shove it, and I don't believe them. I don't care what they say about an apology, and there's nothing that they can do to undo the damage that they've done already.
And just to be clear, your family owned your home, owned the property. The government took it through eminent domain, is now telling you if you want it back, you have to buy it back.
For $407,000.
Repeat that amount.
$407,000.
When we talk about violence and justice and things that Black people have gone through, the first thing people usually say is, "Oh, I didn't know that happened. Oh, I wasn't aware that happened." Well, now you know that happened, and so we're going to drop a link in the chat. They're trying to raise money for the $400,000+ to get this home back, and I do also want to talk about, because you talked about your great uncle John Africa and some of his teachings. What is it like in 2025 when you turn on the TV or you're driving past something and they're saying reduce, reuse, recycle, compost, don't purchase, reuse things? What is that psychologically like for you to see these messages that, like your great uncle was talking about over 40 years ago, that led to this bombing? It wasn't this radical overtaking of society. It literally was like eat, fresh fruits and vegetables, do not engage in this capitalistic system, you know, how is that psychologically like for you when you see these messages and these teachings?
It pisses me off. We got attacked for wearing our hair in dreadlocks, and now salons are making thousands of dollars putting dreadlocks in people's hair. We got attacked for eating healthy and eating raw food, and now there's raw food restaurants, and Tabitha Brown is making a killing off of selling raw food ideas to people. We got attacked for not believing in the police, and now people are Black Lives Mattering. It's like, it's wild. It's like uh, it's like people took the idea that Move was talking about and they found a way to profit off of it. It's the same way they did rap music, hip hop. At one time, you couldn't play hip hop on the radio. They wouldn't play hip hop on the radio. At one time, record stores that sold rap music were getting boycotted by people. At one time, there were radio stations that had their airwaves said things like, we play the best music and we don't play rap. That was their marketing scheme. When rap came out, you couldn't hear it on the radio unless it was after midnight. When rap was up and coming, they called it trash, thug, dirty. MTV wouldn't even play black people. They certainly wasn't trying to play rap. And these people found a way to exploit it. And now they're just, they're desecrating the understanding of true hip hop. And they're using it to destroy and degrade people. They're allowing and promoting violence through it. They're degrading our women and got people thinking that you're supposed to look down on women. They're sexualizing and over-sexualizing our women and the men too, and having people think that this way of behaving is appropriate or good or whatever. The same way they've done with marijuana. At one time it was illegal and people were getting decades in jail for it. Now they done found a way to put it in a little package, and now herb life is on the corner. Cannabis stands are popping up and they're abusing it. And the people that started it, that brought it and introduced to people, are still suffering from the pain and the torture that they gave them people over it. So it's a little bit infuriating when I see it, because it reminds me of so many injustices, and people should not support the government when they treat people like that just because they don't understand it.
I think that people forget like the psychological terrorism and weaponization that Black people have to go through. Like you said, with the marijuana industry, people are making billions of dollars, but there's still like Black people who are incarcerated simply for their connections to cannabis. And I know that you have a lot of things happening this week and this month. Can you just talk a little bit about how people can support you and your family? What other events, commemorations, trainings and teachings that are happening this month for folks?
Yes. So we have another campaign. So the Reclaim Osage thing is, we're trying to get our house back. So we want people to support the GoFundMe, but also as a way of giving back to the community, we created this thing called the Move Day 5K. So we want people to come out and exercise with us. Let me tell you something. The most revolutionary thing you can do is protect your health. That's what revolution is about. That's what activism is about, protecting our health. We're not complaining about getting locked up and going to prison because we think prison is a good place that helps us be better people. It affects our health. The food, the poison that they're trying to feed us, the lack of opportunity to be with our families, we're separated from our people. That all affects our mental health. It affects our physical health. The most revolutionary thing you can do is be healthy. So in honor of our family members, we are creating this thing called the Move Day 5K. It's a 5K run. from Osage Avenue, where the bomb was dropped, to Powhatan Avenue, where the MOVE members were put in jail. And we're going to have a barbecue, and we're going to celebrate the work that we're doing with a 5K run, and we're going to honor the people that were killed in 1985. So people can sign up for the MOVE Day 5K at my website, www.mikeafricajr.com, and it'll pop right up. You can register. It's a $40 registration fee, and yeah, you get a T-shirt with that. And we're going to run, and so we want people to train with us. Follow me on social media at Mike Africa Jr., and you can train with us. We're going to be showing you these different exercises that you can do. And we're going to be showing people how to eat healthy, what meal plans you can set up so that you can run with us and run strong.
Yes. You don't have to get up at 5 a.m., but you can, follow the family. Great food, great recipes. I've met with them in Philly and can tell you they know how to cook. And it's healthy and it's vegan. Very much delicious food. I'm waiting for, the Africa Family restaurant, vegan restaurant and cookbook series, because it's amazing. And I can say again, as someone who's met the family, these are people full of love and care and kindness who are literally want a better world, right? And I think right now, no one can argue that we need a better world, and a better world is possible and mandatory. And so I do hope that if you're in the Philly area, you connect, with Mike Africa and the Africa Family, and just get to know their story, and just advocate for justice, advocate for the end of the parole, advocate for media to come home, and advocate for land back, right? When we talk about self-determination and our right to self-determination as people, it's also our right to housing, and they deserve that land, right? They deserve to have the home back. We should not have to be fundraising this money. They are owed reparations, and this is the very least that can be done to restore and to support and engage in justice for the MOVE family. So, Mike Africa Jr., I thank you so much for taking time out. I know it's been an emotionally hard time for you. I was doing this commemoration of the 40 years. But again, thank you so much.
Miracle. It's really nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. And as we wrap up, I also wanted, again, to let y'all know that this is like so important to tell these stories, right? And as we're talking about these stories, I want to pull this up now. But also, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, this Saturday on the 17th, right? I also want to talk to you that Salahuddin, he was a part of the Freedom Fighters, was a Black man here in Pittsburgh. He is premiering his movie. To just talk about his own experiences, how he was being incarcerated, how he had to, give me 1 second to pull this up. How he had to pay the price of resistance. He literally was arrested during the civil rights movement and had to get a pardon in order to run for the school board here in Allegheny County. His documentary is called The Price of Resistance, Salahuddin, an American Agitator. And this is playing this Saturday, the 17th at 6 p.m. At the Hillsman Auditorium at the Kaufman Center. When we talk about the freedoms and the rights and the liberties that we, particularly as Black people, have in this country, it has literally been paid through the blood and the sweat and the tears of our elders, many of them who are still here, who are still with us, who are still organizing and mobilizing with us and for us. And so if you can do anything today, please donate to the GoFundMe so the Africa Family can have their home back. Please plan to come out on the 17th to support Salahuddin as he tells his own story about the price of resistance that he had to pay fighting for liberation. And the third thing you do is get involved and fight for justice. None of us are free until all of us are free. And so thank you so much for tuning into this special edition of the One Power Hour. I'm your host, Miracle Jones. Have a great day.